welcome home, excellent heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and today we are looking at an upgrade, or rather an update to the Chaos Event System, now known as the Dread Event System. That is, if you're using these cards for HeroQuest 2021, this is HeroicAdventurers Dread Event Deck, and pretty much all of the other decks that are currently available, at least as of the time of this video, that I was sent, the skill cards, as well as the Elite of Dread. These functionally are the exact same as the Chaos Event cards, so if you already have those classic cards for use with your classic HeroQuest game system, then you could continue to use those. However, if you'd like an update to the back of the card art as well as the appropriate size for use with the contemporary 2021 HeroQuest, then this product will fulfill that which you desire. If you've already seen my Heroic Adventurers skill cards and Chaos Event cards or Evil Wizard deck, there really won't be anything new to see here, but we'll go ahead and take a look at some of this stuff anyway, just to give you a contemporary perspective. The Dread Event deck, I have hailed this as one of my favorite HeroQuest homebrews of all because I really enjoyed how the cards worked, how they were really balanced. I think a lot of inspiration was taken from Space Crusade's Alien Event deck for that deck, and nothing will have changed because these cards are mechanically identical to those, the classic Chaos Event deck that is. Some of the cards in this deck include Walking Dead. Play in a room with zombies. Each time one of these zombies is defeated, roll a combat die. If a skull is rolled, the zombie gets up and comes back in play. Spreading Dread. Play this card when a Dread warrior is defeated. His corpse evaporates, spreading an aura of dread. Each hero in the same room must roll a red die. If a hero rolls 1, 2, or 3, hero skips his next turn. 4 or 5, hero loses 1 mind point. And 6, hero loses 1 body point. And Tripped. Play as soon as a hero enters a room first. A goblin hiding behind the wall trips him into the center of the room. Place an extra goblin next to the door and move that hero near the center of the room. The hero's turn ends. These are really genius cards to have in your arsenal as Zargon when you are playing HeroQuest. Let's take a look at the rules card that comes with the Dread Event deck and let you know exactly how this is going to play out. The Dread Event deck, also called Evil Wizard deck, is a set of cards created to add some variety to your favorite dungeon crawler game and spice up your quests. Each card is different, but players don't need to study any additional rule because everything you need to know is written on the cards. The most common way to use this deck is the following. If the Evil Wizard player starts his turn with no monsters to move, no miniatures placed on the board, he rolls 1 combat die. If a skull is rolled, he may draw 1 Dread Event card. Remember, the card eventually drawn is for the Evil Wizard player's eyes only and must be revealed to the heroes only when it's played. The text on the card explains when it can be used. Only 1 card per turn can be played, and its effect cannot be combined with other cards. A card is discarded after it is used. At the end of a quest, all unused Dread Event cards must be returned to the deck and shuffled. Heroes can't go strolling through the dungeon anymore, as this will result in more chances for the Evil Wizard player to draw other Dread Event cards to plan new threats. Note, few Dread Event cards may require specific components from expansion packs. If you are using only the base game, you might consider to discard some Dread Event cards at the beginning of the quest. For example, remove Lost Scroll if you are not using any spell scroll in your game. This deck features 40 cards, but we may consider to create new ones in the future. Feel free to suggest your own. And here are the credits. Dread Event cards created by Lesto Dante, that's Heroic Adventurers on Etsy, and all artworks by Alberto Macari, Laszlo Seber, and Luis Octavio. Cardback artwork by, I'm going to say this name wrong, I just know it, and I apologize ahead of time, Panayotis Kruklidis. I want to go over a few more of the cards in this deck just to give an example of why it's my favorite homebrew. Sometimes I say that the power dice are my favorite homebrew, so I guess it really just kind of depends on how I'm implementing them, but they're both up there. They both pretty much tie, and they're both things that are expendable on their own. They're both things that can be interpreted and used in many different ways. For example, you could go ahead and use this deck differently than the provided instructions by drawing 3 to 5 cards and giving them to Zargon, or if you're Zargon, taking them at the beginning of the quest. Now, these 4 cards are the ones that you're going to have that you can play per the rules. You could also work in some additional rules regarding difficulty. So I might take 5 or 6 cards at the very beginning of the quest and use them one at a time per the rules. They don't overlap. They do not combine with one another. The effects don't stack. Or I can take 3 cards and those effects will stack. They can combine and so on, but I won't know what they are until I flip them over and look at them. You could also have Zargon draw a guaranteed card rather than rolling a combat die and getting a skull, but this will up the difficulty because currently it stands that Zargon will have a 50% chance of drawing a card at the beginning of a turn when there are no monsters on the board. So in that way, we can use these cards in a lot of different ways. But anyway, let's get back to the events on the cards. Get over here. Play this card if a hero is blocking the monster's way, preventing them from passing through a door. The monsters grab and drag the hero to the center of the room or any other square available in the same room. Return to the deck and shuffle the cards after use. Now, this card utilizes monsters on the board, but when Zargon draws it at the beginning of a turn when no monsters are on the board, it doesn't have to be used right away. Zargon can simply keep it hidden away until such a time that its use would be more advantageous to the evil wizard player. And then we have Mist. Play this card when a hero is attacking a monster, but before the combat dice are rolled, something diverts the hero's attention and the attack fails miserably. The monster doesn't need to roll any combat dice to defend. It doesn't affect spellcasting. Awakening allows you to play a card when a tomb can be seen by a hero. A mummy awakes from its rest and attacks the heroes. Place a mummy next to the tomb. The mummy fights like a normal mummy but has 3 body points. Ambush. During his turn, the evil wizard player may open one closed door already placed on the board and activate the monsters in the room. Monsters may move and attack immediately. I'm actually a big fan of that card. Of course, Mimic makes its way into HeroQuest Homebrew. Once again, play this card on an empty cupboard. It comes alive, becoming a monster with the following stats. It can't move through doors, so you're not going to see any of this nonsense where there's a bookcase or a cupboard moving through the halls. There are other Mimic cards in the deck as well. This one is for the classic treasure chest, but it can only be played on an empty treasure chest. I like this one, Chamber of Darkness. Play this card when a new room is revealed. The room is filled with darkness and the heroes cannot search this room or make ranged attacks. Do not use this card in a room that contains a secret door or a treasure, which is the key to completing a quest. For treasure, you can play this card at any time. Draw the top 4 cards from the treasure deck, discard 2 cards without revealing them to the heroes, and put the other 2 back on top of the deck. Rotten Wood is a card that I feel is very balanced. It's a little bit better than Twisted Wood in that you can actually play this at the end of a quest against a hero equipped with a crossbow. The crossbow breaks and becomes useless. This actually gives the hero all quest long to play with their ranged weapon and be cognizant that at the end of the quest, their ranged weapon could be taken away. So anyway, if you'd like to see more of those cards in depth, just go check out my Heroic Adventurers Chaos Event or Evil Wizard Player deck video, and surely I'll have looked at several more of those, but I can already tell you that I'm gonna say that this deck is worth it. Now, related to this deck is the Elite of Dread deck. And this is a small deck of cards. It comes with a new Dread event card, the Elite of Dread. You can play this card when a Dread warrior is placed on the board. This warrior has a special skill. Draw 1 card from the Elite of Dread to deck. The card will tell you which skill he has. Return this card to the deck after use and shuffle the cards. And so this makes Dread warriors a little bit more threatening, even more threatening than they already are, because you could have skills like Master. This warrior is a true master in the art of combat and can take advantage of every attack struck against him. When an adjacent hero attacks him, both him and the hero will roll their attack dice, and whoever rolls the most skulls deals damage to the opponent equal to the number of excess skulls rolled. However, a hero attacked by him must defend as usual. Kind of worse than a counterattack, really. A tough one. This warrior really looks tougher than usual. He has 8 body points. Doom Guard. This warrior is a member of the Evil Wizard's elite regiment, the Doom Guard. Needs only roll 1 black shield to defend against any number of skulls rolled by an attacker. Ancient Fighter is just really scary. An aura of mystery surrounds this warrior. He always adds 1 skull to his score when attacking and 1 black shield when defending. Then there is Slambo. This warrior is equipped with 2 axes and may attack twice during his turn. So the one thing that I do wish was on the cards is a little bit of an extra reward, but that's something that you can decide to give as Zargon if you so deem it appropriate. We've got skill cards, and I want to read you the rules before I go through and preview some of the skill cards. This set of skill cards is designed to add some variety and to power up your favorite heroes. There are 11 cards for each hero. Let's see how to use these cards. Before beginning a quest, each hero draws a random card from their own deck. The hero who achieved the main objective of the previous quest is rewarded with an extra skill card and may draw 2 cards instead of 1. The Barbarian must be the first one to draw a card. Heroes do not reveal their skill cards to the evil wizard player until they are used during a quest. This provides the heroes some much needed surprise and tactical utility against the evil wizard player in a way that is still perfectly balanced. There are a ton of Zargons that pretty much rule, hey, it's my table, this interpretation is mine, this is how we're going to play it. But playing with these skill cards allows your heroes just a lot more autonomy. It actually keeps the evil wizard player guessing just a little bit. A skill card is discarded once used unless the card says something else. Unused cards are saved for the next quest, and each hero may also draw a new card. Heroes can collect as many skill cards as they have mind points. If the heroes lose mind points during a quest, they must eventually discard skill cards at random to not exceed their actual mind points. Artifacts that increase mind points also increase the number of skill cards a hero may collect. If a hero has already reached the maximum number of skill cards and is going to draw a new one, the hero may choose which card must be discarded after the draw. A few skill cards may require to roll black or green combat dice. If you are missing such kind of dice, you may roll an equal number of standard combat dice separately and consider a black shield as a successful result too. Using a skill card is usually not considered as an action unless its use features an attack, a search, or casting spells, and skills cannot be combined together. So we'll just look at 1 or 2 from each of these character-themed decks. We've got the Barbarian skill here. Here is the back of the card art, the deck art. Back Kick. Play this card if an adjacent enemy with 3 or less body points is preparing to attack you or another hero. You can try to stop this attack by surprising your enemy with a sudden kick. To do so, roll a combat die. If you roll a white shield, the enemy is stunned and unable to continue the attack. Love that utility. Love how that is put into play. Riposte attack. You can play this card as soon as you successfully defend against an enemy attack, suffering no damage. You may parry and immediately strike an extra attack back at the enemy. I love this as a skill. I just really like how this is worded. This to me is peak as far as counterattacks go in HeroQuest. Chain of Death. Play this card as soon as you kill a monster. You'll be able to move 2 squares more and attack another monster in range. If you kill the second monster, you may move 2 squares more and attack a third monster in range. Continue to move 2 squares and attack until a monster can't be reached or killed. Very threatening, very powerful. Let's take a look at the wizard skills next, bringing some much needed utility and versatility to this character. A magic moment. Play this card at the start of your turn to cast as many spells as you wish without discarding them. You spend 1 mind point for each spell cast. You can't cast a spell twice during this turn, and you can't cast healing spells. Due to the heavy use of magic, you'll skip the next turn to regain your strength. So essentially, at 6 mind points, if you have this card and you're in a room full of monsters, I'm casting Ball of Flame, Fire of Wrath. I'm going to try to cast Sleep, Courage on any heroes that might be in the room. And then I might stop there because spending 4 mind points is really, that's kind of a stretch for our wizard, isn't it? The Reflect spell. You can play this card at any time. You may reflect a spell back at the spellcaster. The spellcaster and all other monsters, according to the spell, in the same room suffer the full effects of the spell, while you and your companions are safe. And spell recovery, because of course there has to be some way for the wizard to get some spells back if you're going to have a skill deck. You may spend 2 mind points to try to recover 1 spell you used in the current quest. Roll a red die. If you roll 3 to 6, you regain the spell. Now using this skill takes your whole turn, so you can't move or perform any action. And this also works with spell scrolls, interestingly enough. Let's move on to the dwarf. Taking a look at the card art on the back, I really appreciate that the creator of this gave each hero their own sort of primary color for their deck. They're immediately recognizable. Favorite skill. Play this card as soon as it is drawn. It allows you to choose any card you like from the dwarf skill deck rather than drawing a random one from the top of the deck. Next is Eagle Eye. Play this card instead of searching for treasure. If no special treasure is found in the room, you may draw 3 treasure cards at once. If you draw wandering monsters or hazards, they have no effect, but you can't draw other cards. May only be used in a room. Love how balanced that one is, allowing you to take 3 treasure cards, but in the event there are any cards that are negative in any way, you just don't regard them, but you don't continue to draw cards. That is still really lucky, still putting you in an advantageous spot as the dwarf. Size matters. Fighting huge monsters really galvanizes you. And there we have a picture of the 2021, or I guess I should say 2024, Ogre from Against the Ogre Horde, represented in this picture. Really, really cool that this art is updated and inclusive of the newest stuff. Really makes it feel like it's in touch. You may roll 1 additional combat die on both attack and defense when fighting against ogres, trolls, dragons, or any one monster that occupies more than a single square or with more than 5 body points. This skill lasts until the end of the quest. Time to see what the elf has in store now. And here's the art for the elf. We can make out some runes on the blade. And Risky Shot is one of them. You can use this card. Ouch. That poor orc. My goodness, to perform a ranged attack against a monster behind another figure, even though your line of sight is blocked. Roll a red die. If you roll anything but a 1, you successfully hit your target. Otherwise, you hit the figure in front. Oh my goodness. So, a little bit of risk with that reward. Avoid monster. Play this card as soon as you draw a wandering monster card. You hear the monster coming and hide yourself. The monster will be placed in an adjacent room or corridor and will not attack anyone during this turn. So not completely getting rid of the wandering monster, but making it to where it doesn't just attack the discoverer automatically. Eavesdrop. Play this card in front of a closed door to try to guess what kind of monsters are inside the room. Roll 1 red die. The result indicates the maximum number of monsters you can identify. The evil wizard player will reveal what kind of monsters are inside the room, but no more than the number shown by the die. For those of you who might think that these abilities are kind of weak, I'm going to go ahead and find one here that I really like. Pin them. You may play this card to shoot a ranged attack against 2 enemies in a straight line in front of you. You also roll 1 additional combat die to attack. If the first monster fails to defend, the second monster will also suffer the same attack. That is hilarious. So yeah, if the first one fails to defend, they're going to lose a body point. And if it's almost any monster in the game, they're going to die. And then the one right behind them is going to die, most likely. And then copy spell. I have to read this one off. Play this card when you see the wizard casting a spell that you would like to learn. Roll a red die. On a roll of 1, 2, or 3, you fail to learn the spell. On a roll of 4, 5, or 6, you learn that spell and can take that spell card for yourself. You may use the new spell during the current quest only, which is pretty in line with the skill card rules as written. I would still recommend this deck, this series of skill cards to anybody who is wanting to get started with some homebrew. I think that this is an integral part of the homebrew third-party experience, and I just love the skill cards deck. I also think that you can find a lot of different ways to play this particular set of cards. You can do so by allowing your heroes to visit guilds and settlements in between towns and learn the skills for sums of gold that could progressively get higher and higher as more and more skills are learned. Your heroes can learn the skills from bookshelves in a dungeon. Your heroes can utilize the skills, either one and then it's gone forever, sort of like a consumable, or they can learn the spell, take it into the dungeon, and then it's kind of like a set of abilities like any other hero has, where if they use one, it's exhausted. That's done until the next quest, and so on. You could even work in ways to refresh the abilities, but you know, you're going to be playing a lot with balance and difficulty by doing that, so something just to consider and be careful about. All right, next up we have our ice spells, and these come with the card that is intended to be cut apart so that you can have a wall of magic ice token and 4 more magic ice tokens, and these include Rest in Freeze. This spell must be cast immediately after another hero dies. That hero is now frozen into a tomb of ice. At each of his turn, the hero in the ice tomb must roll 2 red dice. If a total of 9 or more is rolled, the ice melts and the hero awakes with all of his body points restored. With a total of 4 or less, the hero dies anyway. The ice tomb cannot be attacked. Skate, which is borrowed from our Frozen Horror expansion, the spell creates an icy path that enables any one hero to move quickly through corridors and rooms. By the way, it wasn't clear. I didn't make it clear, but this deck is actually a skill cards deck for heroes, so a new magical element that you can work into your game. The hero may add 6 to his next movement, roll, and may pass through squares occupied by monsters and heroes. The spell lasts only 1 turn. Ice Storm is another one from this deck. The spell creates a blizzard of ice that affects an area 2 squares wide by 2 squares long. Each monster and hero in that area are attacked separately by the spellcaster with 3 combat dice, and there is no chance to defend. So it's just a cavalcade of chaotic, cold spells. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice spells. Finally, in this collection of awesome homebrew, we have nature spells. And these are spells that you could easily give the druid or replace the druid's current spell set with. Cleansing Flame. This spell will instantly burn webs, vines, and small creatures, reducing them to ash. Select up to 4 grasping vines, web, cocoon, or spawnling tiles in your line of sight, including the ones already placed on a hero's card, and discard them. So this is not a holdover from the old nature spells deck in the classic style. This is a brand new one because it is referencing properties of Jungles of Delthrak that are not present in earlier expansions. Crocodile Skin. This spell may be cast on any one hero, including yourself. Each time that hero has to defend, he will roll 1 red die, also roll 1 red die. On a roll of 5 or 6, the white shields rolled are worth double. The spell is broken if no white shield is rolled. And this particular deck comes with the Bear Strength and Pixie cards, so you're not even really totally replacing the default Druid abilities. Actually really like Cobra Bite. This spell allows you to attack any one living creature adjacent to you. The victim must roll 3 combat dice and will lose 1 body point for each skull rolled. Ineffective against undead and magical creatures. It's kind of fun. We have Butterfly Wings also. This one is reminiscent of the Warlock's demon form. Not demon form. I'm forgetting what the ability's called. She simply teleports to any other space that she can see. Cast the spell as soon as you suffer damage, even on an enemy's turn. Cancel that damage and move instantly to any unoccupied square in your line of sight. May only be cast on yourself. And that, Heroes, is the newest offering, or the newest offerings, from Heroic Adventurers on Etsy. Links to all this stuff, or at least the main store, will be in the description below so you can browse to your heart's content. They come highly recommended from Ash, and these cards will go directly into my HeroQuest 2021 box. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.